Welcome to Tales from the Fandom, a podcast that brings a special guest out of the multiverse and straight to you. And now your host, David Ginsburg.
Welcome to Tales from the Fandom. My name is David Ginsburg, and today's guest is Mina. She's a cosplayer, seamstress, and artist from North Carolina. When she's not in the cosplay world, she's a student in university studying graphic design. Welcome to Tales from the Fandom, Mina.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So how would you describe fandom?
Let's see. I really think that fandom is a big community that you can, escape to whenever you're having, difficulties in the real world. Like you can, interact with other people that are interested in the same things that you are, and I think that's pretty cool that you can have that community to kind of go to whenever you want to talk to someone.
Okay. And what fandoms are you into?
Let's see, there's a lot. I really like anything based around Nintendo, different animes, the K-pop and J-pop. And lately I've really been into Disney and this French show called Miraculous Ladybug.
Okay. How would you say that you fully got into, if there's a particular fandom story, like how you went from casual fan to someone that's just like super involved in that fandom?
I think I really noticed it when I started buying lots of merch for all of these fandoms. It started getting to the point where I'd walk in my room and I couldn't see my wall because there were so many like posters of like all these things from like Zelda or from all these different K-pop and J-pop bands, or like just they're covered in like Sailor Moon or something like that. And my mom was kind of like, "What's all over your walls?" And I'm like, "Oh." I realized I fall down the rabbit hole, but it's okay.
What's your biggest rabbit hole if you had to pick one of them? Which did you fall for the hardest?
Like a fandom?
Yeah.
I think for a while, around probably like my freshman or sophomore year of high school, I had a lot of Zelda posters around on my wall. Because I don't know, I think I started playing Skyward Sword a lot, and I kind of fell for the whole magical aspect of that game series.
So Zelda was like the big thing for you back then.
And I never, I didn't start liking it like when a lot of people did. I know like people have been like, "Oh yeah, I was there from Ocarina of Time or from the very beginning when Zelda first started getting really big and everything." But I didn't start actually playing video games until a little later because my parents were a little like, "Oh no, you shouldn't do that. They're bad for you. Video games will hurt your eyes," or some of those sayings that like parents say. I don't know, but
But Zelda's the series that you first got into, and do you still play it today?
I do, yes. Actually, the other day I was playing Ocarina of Time on an emulator that I got from my computer.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I remember back in my day when the Nintendo came out and there was a Legend of Zelda game.
Exactly.
What draws you to Zelda? What is it about the games that you love?
I really like, I don't know, they're all different. Like I think like when I first started playing Skyward Sword, I really like the bright colors and the big giant birds that you could fly on. I thought that was just really cool. And it was also the first game that I really played like in depth on the Wii, and I thought it was cool that you could swing the Wii remote and actually swing your sword along with that, and I found that like really, really cool. But overall, I like the whole I guess old-timey theme that Zelda has, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And I like the whole, I guess, medieval aspect that it has. And then I think Link looks really cool. I like his ears and I like his outfit and I like everything about him and that he doesn't talk.
Do you have a particular game that you prefer over the others, or do you really like all of the ones that you've played so far?
I like all of them, but I'd say my favorite is Ocarina of Time because, well, it's really hard to start off with, and I kind of like that challenge, like the Water Temple. And I think Ocarina of Time was the thing that kind of put Zelda at its like peak that it has today. And so I like playing it for that reason too.
Okay. I've never been a big Zelda person, and my joke of back in the day of when it came out, I was there. I admit I was like 10 or 11 when I got a Nintendo system. Actually, probably earlier than that, 8 or 9. And I could never get into it. The action part of stuff isn't really for
Hmm.
me. And I have tons of friends who just love Zelda, whether it's original Zelda, Majora's
Mm.
Mask and Ocarina of Time, or the GameCube one, Wind Waker,
Yeah.
Twilight Princess. I mean, it's just now. I will say that I do enjoy using Link or Young Link in Super Smash
Link is my
Brothers.
main in Super Smash Brothers.
In every version, that's the one who I start with first and then
Same.
expand
Hmm.
outwards. But I've never been a Zelda person just because I feel for me it's just the multiple
Hmm.
controls, just having to conquer that challenge. Same with like other first person shooter type games.
Hmm.
I can't do it anymore.
Maybe it's because I've just played it for so long that I've grown accustomed to it, and that I really like that and only that. I mean, I like other games, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of I like it a lot.
Are you excited about the new Zelda coming
Oh my
out?
gosh, yes. I was there watching Nintendo's E3 conference live, and I was like jumping up and down as they were talking about Breath of the Wild, and they were going around lighting things on fire. Now I really want to light things on fire.
Do you like the new character design that Link has
I
with the
do.
blue outfit?
Yeah, I do. I really want to cosplay that. Not gonna lie, it's really different compared to his the green outfit that he usually has, and I like that. I think a new look for him is good for the the game series overall.
Definitely. Are there any other games that you're into, or is Zelda the number one of games that you dig?
I do play other games, but probably not as depth as into I am with Zelda. Um, I do play a lot of Smash Brothers. We were talking about that earlier.
Mm.
Um, let's see. Probably mostly just Nintendo games. I haven't really gotten into a lot of the first person shooter ones and the new like the really good games that are coming out on PS4 and everything. I have because I don't have a PS4, so I haven't really been able to be immersed into those yet. But I think in the future I really want to.
In the future, I understand. I have PlayStation 3 only used for Netflix.
Hey,
Xbox 360 only used for
but
Netflix.
Netflix is amazing, so
Absolutely, absolutely. Plus, it helps that my kids can play Minecraft or Disney Infinity or
hmm.
something while I'm working. So you are also into
I
Disney,
am.
shockingly
Yes,
enough.
I love Disney.
Is it Disney animation, Disney cartoons, Disney movies that don't have cartoon people in them? Is it Pixar that's now owned by Disney, or all of the above and more?
Well, I do like all of those that you just mentioned, but I specifically like the cartoons a lot. I'm really into like the art and animation of Disney. Yeah, I really like the work and effort that goes into Disney cartoons, like the 3D animation that they do for it as well.
Do you prefer more of like the classic Disney Cinderella, Snow White? Do you prefer like the 90s Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, Little Mermaid? Are you more of like a 2000s or current generation with the movies that have come out recently, like Wreck-It Ralph
Hmm.
and those? Which do you find yourself drawn to more?
Well, my favorite movie ever is Tangled, which came out in 2010.
Yes, one of my favorites.
I love Rapunzel. I cannot emphasize enough. But I do like the older Disney cartoons as well. Like that's like original Snow White and everything. I like all the old Disney princesses. Um, I like movies like the Robin Hood, um, and like the Jungle Book and all like
Hmm.
the really old cute looking cartoons and stuff. But
Oh,
I do
definitely.
like the new stuff as well. It's it all makes me happy just to watch all of it. So I would say.
What is it? What is it about Tangled that makes it your number one?
I could talk about this for years. No, I think it's because the whole movie is about her breaking free. Um, so we watch her from the very beginning being all kind of closed in her tower, and she's opening up to the world for the first time, even though she just turned 18. So, like, specifically the scene where she's dropping down from the tower with her long, thick hair, and she touches the grass with her foot, and this kind of emotion just comes on her face of, "Whoa, this is what the world's like. That's crazy." And I also like the animation of her hair because I feel like that would take forever to animate all of those locks of hair.
I love Tangled. I don't think I can't remember if I saw it in movie theaters or not, but it's such an amazing movie, and I know that a lot of what the like for jumping off, like Tangled was a great jumping off point for
Mm-hmm.
Frozen, but I feel Tangled should be more well received or like up there with people than it
Yeah.
gets. Like Frozen got hot because of like Let It Go and the character. And I mean, obviously, like there's cute
Mm-hmm.
characters, but Tangled, I feel, is just a much stronger
Yeah,
film.
I do agree. I think Frozen is has a little bit too much hype. I mean, it's a good movie, but I think Rapunzel's definitely up there with it in terms of quality and how good it actually is.
Of animal sidekicks, would you rank Pascal as in the top five?
Pascal is awesome. he he's like that friend that kind of I don't know who's got your back. I guess like he watches out for you. Like he kind of watches Flynn. He does that kind of I'm watching you thing with his eyes all the time. I don't know. I feel like I would want Pascal as one of my friends. So yes, I would put him in my top 5 of animal sidekicks.
I can't say enough about that movie.
Same.
I know that you said you would talk for years about it, and we only have like 20 or 30 minutes, but Tangled and is just of like, and I think really that's the start of like this next generation was when they had
Mhm.
Tangled. Like it's been Tangled and Frozen, and then whatever else is coming
And then
out in the
Moana is
future.
coming out soon. The Polynesian Disney
Oh
princess.
yeah,
I cannot wait for that. For with Dwayne Johnson as I think the Disney prince. I don't know what his character is.
I don't know if he's the prince or if he's like the
He's like
warrior
a
that's
friend. I
protecting
don't know.
her.
Yeah, but he's. I cannot wait for that movie.
The animation in that one looks
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal. I really like the style of it
Mm-hmm.
from what they've presented so far. I don't think I've seen a trailer for it
Yeah,
though.
it's out. You should totally go watch
What?
that.
Well, I know what I'm doing after this.
It's not like a full length trailer, but it's like this smallish little scene with
Okay.
with Dwayne Johnson's character and Moana,
Well, I always look forward to Dwayne Johnson.
right?
He is a I watched him back when he was a professional wrestler, so I've been with
Can you
him.
smell what the Rock is cooking?
I can. It smells good now. It smells good now. He's definitely branched into a actor of just like substance and quality because initially he was just like The
Hmm.
Rock, but now he can just do so many different
He can do
roles.
whatever he
And
wants, and we're like, yes.
well, I think for a certain population that is definitely the case. They're like, just give me The Rock on the screen.
You're
He
not
doesn't have
wrong.
to say anything. As far as Disney goes, we got Tangled. Is there an underrated film that you think that you like that isn't as popular or as popular as you think it should be?
I'm gonna go with The Emperor's New Groove.
Which I have never seen.
What? No, you have to go watch that. Put that on your list for things to do when you're done with this as well. um,
I have best friends that love that movie. They share like gifs of that movie with each other like on social media.
so
And I'm like, I don't get it at
it's
all.
fantastic. I believe it came out like early to mid 2000s, but I think I was looking. My boyfriend and I were looking this up the other day, and apparently they didn't release any like official merchandise for the movie, even though like everyone loved it. It's just really, really funny in kind of like a sarcastic way because the main character Cusco is just this sarcastic. I don't know what he is. sarcastic. That's all I'm gonna say.
He's a sarcastic person.
He's very sarcastic. He's
I
very
do know that I do know he turns into a
he
llama.
does, and then he learns not to be so snarky about everything in the end.
What is it about that movie that you love?
Definitely the humor, and I also I like Cusco's animation style is very flaily, if that's a word. It's a word now. He's very dramatic about everything and dramatic about his movements and how he says things. I just like Cusco a lot.
You need a little Cusco plushie.
I do. I want the Cusco llama plushie.
That would be cool. I'm sure they have them out there somewhere.
If not, I'm making this.
So we've hit Legend of Zelda and Disney. You are a person that's into K-pop and J-pop.
Yes, I am.
Which is way outside of my realm of anything that I know about, except that I did live in Japan. So that's the only tie I have to that. What is it about that? And is it more than just music?
Yeah, I get a lot of questions like, "Oh, why do you listen to K-pop when you can't understand what they're saying?" Because I definitely don't speak Korean, I only speak a little bit of Japanese. The I guess like emotion and effort that they put into their music is extremely unique and different from music that we listen to like in America. Like I it's very they have dances to all their songs, and usually the most popular K-pop songs come from groups like really cute boy bands or like sassy girl bands, and I just it's really different from what I've been listening to for most of my life, and I get more into it, if that makes sense.
Well, that makes sense. And to answer your thing about when people ask why you listen to it if you can't understand what they're saying, there is music in America right now where you cannot understand what they're saying.
You
Either
are
like
not wrong.
death metal or like rap. I mean, it could be any. There is a number of musical genres in America that you listen to it and you don't understand anything that they're saying. So why should it matter if you're listening to K-pop or J-pop and you don't understand it? I mean, at least you're getting like the sense of you can maybe get where they're going with it, or you can get it like a translation and see what they're actually singing about.
And I have an issue with music that sounds really fake, that is like obviously auto-tuned, and like this artist can't actually sing at all. But with the K-pop industry, to get involved with it, you have to audition, and they have to make sure that you can sing. It's kind of like a giant American Idol, but in Korea and not a TV show.
Right. I know that in Japan it's real big as far as like it being a big machine. I think there's one group that has like 48 members, but then they each have subgroups.
How is it, the AKB408 or something?
Like 48 or something. Yeah, where they can trade members from one subgroup to another subgroup. And then there sometimes is drama, so one person might leave that group and go join a different group. It's really like it's strange, but like I mean, if they have their main group and then they have like 5 or 6 subgroups, they're still making a lot of money.
And I find all of that really, really interesting. That's probably why I like it so much. That's like it's so different.
Yeah, it's definitely something else, and it's totally different from what's here in America as far as the way that they are brought up, rather than in America here where you are lucky if you get a contract or if you're discovered, and over there you're kind of groomed at a young age if you have that talent, and then you're kind of put into that system.
Yeah, one thing I don't like about the K-pop industry is that you're owned, like you're actually owned by a company, and they force you to go on these like specific diets, and if you don't, then you're kicked out no matter what. And you have to sing exactly this, or else you're kicked out. And I don't know. It's just there's definitely a lot of things when it comes to how they live and like how they eat and everything.
Oh, definitely. I know it's just super like their management is definitely some like strict,
Mm-hmm.
and the like even their social media policies or their policies out in
Yeah, like I
public.
know they can't date anybody, and if they do, it's like, oh, big scandal kind of thing.
Oh, definitely. Like that has to be
Mm-hmm.
approved because you can't date anybody unless it's going to help your group or
Right?
your image or
Which is
whatever.
totally not fair.
Absolutely. Do you have any favorites? Either K-pop or J-pop?
Let's see. I listen to a lot of Kyary Pamyu Pamyu when it comes to J-pop. She's the one that sang Pom Pom Pom. I don't know if you know that, but
I
you
don't.
don't.
All of my Japanese singers that I used to know are like from mid 2000s, and that's about it.
Kyary is extremely popular in Japan. Like I think if you like walk around, then you like around Japan, you like won't not see anything Kyary related. She's a female artist, like pop singer, and she's really adorable, kind of crazy. But her song "Pom Pom Pom" got really popular in America because of the crazy music video that
Okay.
she had. Lots of really weird background images if you go look it up. But when it comes to K-pop, I really like. I mostly like the boy bands. Um, like BTS and Big Bang and EXO. Those are probably like my top three, I'd say. But there are also some really good girl groups like 4 Minute and Sistar. Those are my two favorite. But there's so many more out there. It would take me forever to list all the ones that are good.
How did you find yourself getting into that?
Into K-pop?
Into K-pop or J-pop? Was it something that was over here in America, whether it was like through an anime or like a video game, or was it something where you just heard it and you found it and you tracked it down?
I first heard it when I think I was in middle school, and I was doing that thing where you watch a YouTube video and then you click one of the recommended, and then you click one of the recommended, and then you keep
Mm-hmm.
doing that over and over again until you're like completely on a different side of YouTube than you were before. And I found a song called Ring Ding Dong by Shiny, and the chorus of that song just amused me so much because they go ring ding dong the whole entire time, and it kind of fascinated me. And I was like, "What is this?" And so I found more songs by Shiny, and then that led me to other groups, and now I'm here today with my iPod having a good 75% K-pop songs.
That is really cool. I know that I got into it with Kingdom Hearts when it came out on PlayStation
Mhm.
2. The main entrance or the main song was by Utada Hikaru,
Mhm.
and she did the main song. And from there, that's how I learned more about J-pop. And then when I went over to Japan to teach, they have a place called Tsutaya. It's kind of like a Blockbuster, but not only can you rent DVDs from there, you can rent CDs, and you can kind of just rent them and take them home, and you burn them on your like computer, and then it's yours.
Wow.
And that's how I kind of got into that, between going to the store and just checking out like really weird covers
Uh-huh.
and experimenting, and then through anime, because a lot of the shows over there that I used to watch, like Naruto, have different groups doing the intro or the end of the show,
Mhm.
and just experimenting with like, oh well, that group did the intro, let me hear what else, let me hear what other music that they have.
Anime intros and like ending songs are always my favorite. They get me really excited.
Are you into
I
anime?
am, yes.
Do you have any favorites?
Oh gosh. I really am into the magical girl themed anime. So you can think of Sailor Moon as being one of those.
That's the first one that comes to mind.
Exactly. But I think my favorite one would be the first anime that I watched, which was called Tokyo Mew Mew. Which it's the same kind of thing as Sailor Moon. They kind of um, transform into these really cute magical girls and go save the day from evil.
What draws you to the magical girl?
Probably I think initially it was the outfits. They were so like pink and sparkly and just ruffly, and I just found that really, really cute. But now I really like the story that goes behind it because usually magical girl animes have a lot of romance involved with it because the audience is pointed towards like teenage females. So we like that kind of stuff.
Do you have, like you said, Tokyo Mew
Mhm.
Mew? What's the difference between that and Sailor Moon, for instance? Like if you could hit one or two things that's it's different besides the name, of
Yeah.
course.
In Tokyo Mew Mew, the five main characters have half human DNA, half animal DNA. So that's definitely a major difference.
Okay.
Instead of following their school life, um, they they focus more on following their life when they work in this cafe that was designed just for them to work in, because they all kind of want to stay in a group together since they're a little different from the rest of the world.
Okay. I've heard of it. I haven't seen it, so I might have to go check it out
It's my
because it's not
favorite.
something that's
No, it's my favorite. That's
I might have to check it out. I'll just have to see where it is. It's not running anymore, is it?
no,
That
no.
show's over at
Yeah.
this point.
I think it was in early 2000s, maybe late 90s. I could be totally wrong, but
Yeah, I was thinking it's somewhere around there. I've been out of anime for a
mhm.
while. What's an anime that you're into now that you think more people should check out or take a look at?
I'm really a big fan of anime that has, I guess, a lot of emotion into it. So recently, there's this new anime called Your Lie in April, and I read the reviews for it, and it said you're gonna cry when you watch this anime. It's gonna be really, really sad, and I'm like, okay, let's get it started. I want this emotion. But yeah, Lore, Your Lie in April. It's a music anime, so it focuses on um, these two characters, Kaori and Kosei, who are musicians, and they work together to become top in the piano and violin music world.
Oh, that is definitely something different than the standard like high school or fantasy or sci-fi
It's
setting.
also why I like it because it's really different. I like how it focuses more on the classical music rather than, say, Love Live, where it focuses on the pop girl group kind of music that Japan is mostly into.
Right, definitely. I know that on your thing that you sent over to me, there was one that I've watched recently that you've also watched, and that's Attack on Titan.
Yes.
Are you excited for them finally announcing that the second season is coming out soon?
Has it been officially announced?
I thought it was officially announced that it was going to be sometime, I believe, next
Okay,
year.
I've heard rumors over the past couple of years that, oh, hey, it's going to come out here. And then that date passes, and they're like, just kidding, it's going to come out here. And then that date passes. So if it's officially this date, then yes, I am looking forward to it. But
What drew you to Attack on Titan? Because for me, I had originally seen people cosplaying different characters, and that was my first indication of, oh, there's a new anime out. And then I started reading about what it was, just generally not going into depth as far as like spoilers
Mhm.
go. And I was like, well, that sounds pretty neat. Let me check it out. And thankfully, it was on Netflix. And I binge watched the entire series or season and got really into it. And I mean, that's how I got into it. How did you get into Attack on Titan?
um, my friend showed me a picture of one of the derpy looking titans. And my brain instantly went, you have to watch this. And this was, I want to say, like when episodes like maybe 4 or 5 had come out. So this was a while ago. Um, so from there, my friend and I watched each episode as it came out every week. So I think that got me really into it as well, from having to wait every single week for a new one to come out rather than binge watching it. So
Do you have a favorite character?
I really like Levi because he's Levi. How do I describe him? Sarcastic twit. Can I go with that? Kind of
Oh,
like
you can
Cusco.
go. Yeah, you can go with whatever because I agree about Levi. Like he can just be so he can be such a dick
He
sometimes.
can. Um, I don't know. I really like his character. How he just kind of doesn't care.
Absolutely. What are you hoping for? Like, have you read the manga at
I have
all or
not,
manga?
no, because is it the manga is has continued on more than the anime, right?
Right,
Okay.
and I think that was the big problem when they did the anime, the first season of it, is that they didn't expect it to be as big of a hit as it
Hmm.
was. And so then they had to get on the ball with getting their animators doing the second season. But yeah, I've not read the manga. I know it does go on because there are spoilers out on the internet about certain storylines,
Hmm.
and you're like, I don't want to know. I want to see it.
Yeah, I've kind of avoided reading the manga because probably of the spoilers and everything because I've been talking about a lot of animation during this podcast and
That's okay.
I just I really love the animation of Attack on Titan. The parts when they're like flying across the village in their 3D maneuver gear. I just the angles and stuff that they draw just looks really cool. So I'm waiting to watch more of that in the anime. So I'm not going to read the manga. I'm going to wait for the anime to come out, which some people
You know, if
might not like might think that's kind of weird, but I like that.
I don't think that's weird,
Awesome.
but that would be a pretty cool VR game once the technology got to the
Yes.
point being like one of those characters and just having that experience of feeling like you are going through those angles because it's not like characters like Spider-Man who swing. Like those angles that they you like for those 3D maneuvering here, like that sometimes you just I don't understand how some of these people don't have broken backs.
Right? They just kind of sling themselves across.
It is wild, but
That would be so cool for
it
VR. I'm thinking about that right now, and I'm pumped.
it's all my fault because it will never happen unless someone listens to this podcast that's influential
Send
enough
this
to
to
do it.
everyone.
Send this to the Japanese smart people. You must make this,
Please.
please. Yes, it always nice to have the please at the end.
You gotta be polite.
Absolutely, especially over in
Right?
Japan. That is the truth. You always have your good manners. Now you are, and this is how I found you. To track you down and ask for an interview is I found you on Instagram, and I believe what you were working on was a new cosplay
Hmm.
as Jane from the Tarzan
Yes,
movies.
Jane Porter. I've been working on her big giant yellow dress that she has when she first comes into the jungle. Um, and that's been like a really big project of mine for the past couple of months. I'm making her dress and her hat, and I'm like founding the book that she has myself. And I'm trying to make everything look really nice because I'm entering this in my first like official cosplay contest at a
Okay.
convention I'm going to in a week and a half. So I'm working really hard on her.
Well, I got two questions for you. One is why Jane,
Mhm.
and then the second is how the heck did you get into cosplay?
Why Jane? Let's see. I was talking to my best friend Sarah, and she was talking about Tarzan. And this was like last year, and I was like, I've never seen Tarzan. And she goes, What? So then she sits me down, and we watch Tarzan, and then directly after that, I fell in love with Jane's character. Um, I think the British accent got me at first. But then later I like Disney's female supporting characters. So I wanted to cosplay her because of that reason. And I like her design. I really like giant poofy dresses because it gives me a lot to work with.
I mean, as far as someone as if we're talking about Tarzan goes, Tarzan was definitely a movie that came out and it pushed some of the animation boundaries, especially with Tarzan and how he moved through the trees,
Mm-hmm.
almost like he was surfing or skateboarding on the limbs
Mm-hmm.
and the vines. But I know it wasn't well received as like overall because you're coming from the time period of Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Lion King, and then you hit this period where it's Hercules, Tarzan, and Hunchback
Mm-hmm.
are like those next three in that period. And I think after having so many of these great movies, like I do know people that really like those like Hunchback and Tarzan, but they're definitely not as popular as the ones that come before it or the movies that come
Mm-hmm.
after.
They're, I know they're also like Hunchback and um, Tarzan are kind of dark if you pay
Oh,
attention. Definitely Hunchback is pretty dark.
oh, definitely. Hunchback was like, and I mean, I'm Hunchback. I think I watched in I probably high school at some
Mhm.
point because I remember going to see it in the movie theater. But it was definitely a lot darker than I expected for a Disney movie at that
Mhm.
point.
I was thinking definitely because Disney doesn't usually do that kind of dark plot, and I don't know, the songs were pretty dark, and like the Hellfire one
Mm-hmm.
that kind of caught me off guard because I watched that recently as well, probably around the same time where I watched Tarzan. So I thought it was cool though.
So how did you get into cosplay?
Um, let's see. I believe I was probably just browsing the internet. That's how I find a lot of things. Um,
Dang that internet.
how could you? Um, but I was browsing the internet and I found some really cool cosplayers. I wish I could like mention certain ones that I found, but I can't for the life of me remember. But I found certain cosplayers um, that were talking about going to anime conventions, and I was like, "What is an anime convention?" Um, and I went and I looked, and they are places that you can go to interact with other anime and other fandom related things. You can go and find other people that like the same things as you do, and that was kind of hard for me because I didn't have a lot of friends that were into the same things that I was, like specifically anime. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so I thought this was insane that these things existed. And so I went to my first convention in 2014, which is Animazement, which is the largest anime convention in North Carolina, I believe. And I went there and I fell absolutely in love, but I wasn't doing a big cosplay. Like I like not nearly like the ones I do now. I dressed up as Leafeon from Pokemon. I just kind of threw together some things I found from Goodwill, and Booth came out Leafeon. And I thought I really wanted to expand my cosplays and like my knowledge on sewing and everything. So that's how I learned more, and now I cosplay a lot today because of the internet.
Damn you, internet. What cosplays have you done?
Oh, there's a list. Okay, so first I did Leafeon from Pokemon, and then I decided I wanted to make a prop for a cosplay. So then I did Amy Rose from Sonic the Hedgehog, and I made her big hammer that she has. Um, and then I did Eternal Sailor Moon with these giant wings that I kept bumping into people with. So I decided to retire her since I got kind of annoyed with that. Then I got into RWBY and I started cosplaying Yang Xiaolong. Let's see, and then Princess Peach. And right now I'm working on Harley Quinn and Jane Porter and another RWBY character, Pira Nikos, for a convention in Georgia in September.
Awesome. Do you do all of your costume? Like, do you do the whole creation from start to finish, or are you someone that buys like ready-made costumes?
I sew when it comes like with the like the fabric parts. I definitely make myself because I have the ability to. But I do buy some things like obviously like shoes and um, some parts of props, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But a good like 90% of a full cosplay is made completely by me.
That's awesome. I can't do that, but that's awesome, and I respect it.
Takes practice. I remember when I sewed my dress for Amy Rose, and I went back recently and I looked at that dress and I was like revolted by it because of how bad the sewing job was. So I've really I've come really far from when I first started doing this, and that makes me feel really happy and kind of proud of myself.
What is it about cosplay that draws you in? I mean, besides like doing the sewing
Hmm.
and dressing up as a character, what draws you to it?
I like how you get to become someone else. Like whenever I cosplay, I like to be in character completely. Like even when I'm just talking to someone normally, I will not break character. And I find that really, really fun. And to kind of see the people's reactions, I guess. I remember I was cosplaying Sailor Moon. I went to this Japanese festival in Charlotte, North Carolina, and they had a little cosplay contest that I entered. It was like really, really small. I think like 3 people were in that contest, but there were children there, and they were all looking at me. They were pointing at me, going, oh, "Look at her! She's so pretty!" And like their moms wanted pictures with me, even though the kids had no idea who I was.
Right.
um, and it was just like, I guess the public's reaction really makes me happy that I can like put a smile on their face. So I really plan on with Jane to never break out of that British accent, and kind of I'm gonna go around everywhere and ask people if I can draw them in my sketchbook to bring back to Tarzan in the
That's
jungle.
awesome.
Yeah,
Do you practice your characters before you get to the convention? Like, do you spend a
definitely.
couple days and
Most definitely. I
give yourself a cosplay boot camp?
I do. I stand in front of the mirror and I pose certain ways, and I'll like I'll actually I'll record myself walking, because certain characters walk a certain way. Like Jane, for example, she's very prim and proper lady, so I kind of walk more with my back straight and looking forward, kind of with this like dainty smile on my face.
I live in Orlando,
Hmm.
and the people that do the Disney princesses or the other characters, I know that they have to go through like several days of training and
Hmm.
watching the movie, and they get critiqued, and they have the classes and everything to get themselves into
Hmm.
character. And I mean, in the Disney setting, I can see it, because you're surrounded in that sense that you're in that world
Hmm.
basically. But being at a convention, like after you're done doing that, are you just drained from it, like that being the focus of your day is to stay in the character, or are you that good at it where you're like, oh, I'm just Princess Peach for today, and I'm waiting for Mario, or conversely, I'm looking to save Mario.
I definitely I have noticed that like once I leave a convention, I'll like go back to my normal self, which isn't very princess like at all. I'm kind of super like laid back, kind of I'm kind of like a sarcastic twit sometimes, but um, yeah, I do. After a convention, I like go completely. I turn like a 180 and then go back to my normal self.
Is there a fandom or something that we have left out that you want to just bring up and be like,
Mm,
hey, we didn't talk about this,
let's see.
or love for a character or
I
anything?
really Let's talk about RWBY. Have you heard of RWBY?
Is that the with the acronym, the RWBY?
Yes,
And see, you know what? I've never understood what it was. I always thought it stood for like red, white, blue,
it
yellow.
does.
Then why is it called
That's
Ruby?
just how it the red, white, blue, yellow are they're the colors of the characters or of the people that are on that team, because the show revolves around these certain teams that are involved with learning combat. Um, and so you have Team RWBY, Team RWBY, and you have Team JNPR, Juniper, and you just have all these teams that are just kind of fighting together. And the RWBY also correlates with their names as well. So you have Ruby, Weiss, Blake, and Yang, which are the 4 main characters of the show.
Okay.
So I guess that's why it's called. They just pronounce it Ruby. I can't. I don't know what other reasons there are.
I just figured people just called it RWBY. Like, hey, do you watch RWBY? But I guess it makes sense,
that's what I thought at first as well. But then I watched the first couple episodes and I was like, oh, Ruby, that's weird. So I get where you're coming from that.
At least I'm not alone.
Yeah, I bet a lot of people think that as well.
So who should watch RWBY as far as like who does it appeal to as far as like storyline or characters? What makes it stand out?
It is very different in terms of who made it and I guess the animation style. It's created by a company and YouTube team called Rooster Teeth, and they started off with season 1. It's technically supposed to be an anime, but the animation is very weird. It's 3D animation, but it's definitely not super professional 3D animation. So a lot of people who watch this will watch the first season and then they'll get kind of turned off by the animation style and they won't watch the rest, which they should, because as the series got more and more popular, they had more people in their animation team come in and the quality of the show increased by like 5 bajillion%. So that's, yeah.
I think one of the people that worked on that show, I think his name was Monty Ohm, because I remember a series that he was doing on his own, which blew me away, was called Dead Fantasy. I'm not sure if you've seen it or not.
I have not.
It's where they mashed up Dead or Alive characters from the video game with Final Fantasy characters. And it was initially like this one-on-one brawl between like Tifa from Final Fantasy VII and a character from the Dead or Alive series. And then he started doing this storyline where it expanded between the Final Fantasy universe characters were on one side and the Dead or Alive and Tekken characters, because he started incorporating Tekken characters into the other side, and they have these epic battles. And if you look up Dead Fantasy on YouTube, you should be able to find all of them. He did, I think, 7 or 8 episodes where they went for, I think they're between like 5 to 15 minutes long. And it's got this story that just keeps getting better and better. You can't believe it. And then I think he stopped because he started doing, because this was like all side project stuff where he's doing it on his own time. And then he got hired by Rooster Teeth. And I believe he transitioned to the RWBY anime or RWBY show. And I know he passed away a year or 2 ago, which that was a big blow when I heard that, because I loved his individual work so much. So there's that. That's my story.
It was lovely. I'll definitely check that out when we're done with this. That sounds really cool.
It is, especially for people that love like Final Fantasy, and it focuses more on the female characters of Final Fantasy.
Oh, good.
So like you're seeing like Riku and
I love Riku.
Riku and Tifa and Aerith and like all of these female characters from the series, and even they bring in like Kairi from Kingdom Hearts, and it's just so awesome to see them like fighting and holding their own. Like you would expect it from the male characters, but like to see them really just getting into like a knockdown drag out brawl is pretty amazing.
That sounds really, really cool.
So you'll have to check out Dead Fantasy.
Most definitely.
I have a lot of things to check out, like Emperor's New Groove and RWBY.
Yes.
And maybe even Tokyo Mew Mew if I can track it down.
It's very girly, I will tell you that.
Listen, I grew up watching. Well, I didn't grow up watching Sailor Moon, but I was in high school when Sailor Moon came to America.
You like Sailor Moon?
I do.
Then you should like this. So, never
I
mind.
mean, I watched as much as I could. There was a point where I stopped watching, and I know that the new show is out now, Crystal, and I have not watched that yet, but I've got to check that out as well.
It's pretty decent.
I've heard it's more focused as far as storyline goes, but it's doesn't give people the extra attention to like their home life.
So the plot goes by a lot faster in
Right.
Crystal. So.
Well, I think that is all the time that we have for today. So, where can people find you if they want to check out your cosplay work or just follow you, like either on Facebook or Instagram?
My main social media is Instagram, and you can follow me at Pinkuperfect. That's Pinku perfect. And then I just recently made a Facebook page called Pinkuperfect Cosplay. I think it's just facebook.com/Pinkuperfect. And it's not, I don't have a lot posted on there right now because I just started it, but it will probably get better as a couple weeks go by.
All right. Well, everyone, you can check those links out in the show notes or on our Facebook page. And Mina, I'd just like to thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule for me.
Thank you so much. This was really cool to do.
Oh, well, thank you. And everyone else, have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Tales from the Fandom. Subscribe to us on iTunes or your podcast app of choice. Follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Tales from the Fandom to see photos, links, leave feedback, and check out upcoming guests. If you'd like to be a guest, email David at talesfromthefandom@gmail.com.